Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to kind of go over some fun tools and tips that I find are great value adds whenever we're having listing appointments with our clients. Some tools and tips that we have used to be successful on the listing side of the equation because we want to make sure that we're adding value whenever we're discussing our listing appointments. So this is also those secrets that make us successful. So therefore, you now have the opportunity to come after us and get those listings as well using the same tools and resources that we're doing. The one thing that does take that action is putting it into action. So what we're going to go over today is our real property resource. Now this is the Realtor's property resource provided by Realtor Association. So this is a tool that they have invested money in to provide value as far as things like property information, property details, also creating valuations and providing a lot of reports about said property whenever you're doing your investigative work to find out the valuation, but also to find out how you can be successful with that property when you're marketing it and when you may be making offers. So there's two sides of this coin, one using it on the listing side when you're doing a presentation or when you're receiving offers, and the second side of the equation is when you're actually doing a buyer submission and making sure that the actual value will be sustained whenever you're getting that appraisal back. So these are a couple things that we use to be successful through this. So as we go into it, guys, the first step is identifying the property. So in this circumstance, and Juan, please mind you, I only picked this property because it was the first one that was in my list, but I have a property here from Juan Suarez. This is 3920 Olympic. It is coming on price at $135,000. So what I've done is I've taken this property, I simply scrolled up to the top, clicked that more button, went down to RPR. That opened me into this screen right here. So I have 3920 Olympic. I have a bunch of details about it. I have the list price. I have the automation valuation modeling that is described by adding in all these details. All right. So this is all this information that they pumped out a value for, and that came in at 116,000. I get some details about the property: 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1233 square feet, when it was last sold, who is the current owner of the property, and then price per square foot. I also have some information about the property as well as the agent, and then I have some agent remarks as well. I also have a bunch of other things that I can adjust here. So I can, if I've gone out to the property or if I know specifics that have changed about the property, I can go in here and make my own changes to it, adjusting it there. Things like square footage of the lot, if I know that to be different. This says it has a double attached garage, whereas the listing inventory right now, public facts state that it only has a carport, if it's a roofing type, so on and so forth. So lots of information that I can adjust here. For instance, the public information says it's evaporative, whereas the listing information says it's refrigerated. I can adjust those informational points wherever I want. And then on the other side of the equation, I also have some other cool tools. Now, I want to just mention one of them because I think this is a great resource, especially when somebody's looking to maybe get into the investment side of the coin for real estate. So this is a program called Valuate. And Valuate has a great ability to be able to present a nice, clean, crisp report on a property based on the investment techniques. So if you're going to hold it, if you're going to flip it, if you're going to do some rental on it, if you're going to do any of those tools, this gives you a great resource for it. For what you do is just click on Analyze Property, and it populates this screen right here. Now, I can do a lot of different leverage points here. I can do cash flow analysis, purchase price, or I can just simply type in some additional income here, what my estimated gross revenue will be, what my estimated reserves will be, and expenses. And then I would simply go in here, press that submit button, and it pumps out a nice clean report for my client that I can hand to them and show that I've put some work and diligence into making this offer that they may be using as a investment to make sure that they're getting the right numbers that work for them best. Now, keep in mind, I didn't add any income in here. That's why it's showing 0. But once again, if I go back and just adjust this accordingly to add in some details, that will pump out a nice, crisp report for my client. Now, going back into RPR, what I want to make sure of and note that you guys have value for is one, some of the details that are entered in here, things like school districts, right? Getting the scores from those local school districts. So we are in the El Paso Independent School District. We know that it's Park Elementary, Canyon Hills Middle, and Chapin High. These are great to give us an idea that we can show to our clients if a purchaser is looking at the neighborhood, or on the listing side, it allows us to show if that property is going to be high end for the purpose of resale value. Schools tend to be one of the largest value influx that you can find. If they have great school scores, testing scores, these are things that people look for, and therefore they can pump value in really quick. It also breaks down a few details like interior features, exterior features, and then some owner facts. You can also find in some legal details about the property. And then you have your tax assessments that show the detail of where the tax assessment is sitting. You can add notes in here too. So if you're talking to a client while looking up a property, you can add in details about that property. Also has some deed records. Now this is a great resource because I can actually grab this actual deed record and I can jump over to epcounty.com and pump that deed record in there and be able to pull up the deed on this property specifically. Once again, maybe identifying what they purchased it for, maybe identifying any of those details. All right, so I've pulled up some information, but now what we're trying to aim for is some valuation model. Okay, so in this, I'm going to go down to this little button right here where it says comp analysis value. Now I can adjust this value right here by clicking refine value. That's not what I'm going to do here though. I want to find a specific value about this property. So I'm going to click on create CMA. When I do that, a couple things pop up here. So one, the property details. Two, the comparative analysis or sales comparative analysis. Now in this base top part, I'm building out a comp analysis that's pretty robust, but at the same time, I want to get a little bit better. You can read about the differences between these two. In this case, we're going to use a sales comparison approach. Now this asks you if you're an appraiser. You're going to skip this step. You're not an appraiser unless you are. I'm going to confirm some details about the property. Now, once again, I've not seen this property, so I don't know any specifics about it. So I'm going to accept the fact that the MLS is correct and confirm those facts. Once I do that, the next part is going to be find comps. Now, here's where it gets a little different. So this says that I can search for properties. I personally think that my searching capability on MLS is stronger than RPR searching capability. So I'm going to change it to add a known property. Now I've already done a quick search on this. So I pulled a couple bases. I pulled like square footage area, so on and so forth. And then I picked the actual subdivision and so on and so forth. So I'm going to grab a couple of these and just highlight them. So 840244. Jump back over to RPR, drop that in there, and add that property. If you'll notice, RPR, because of their connection through the Realtor Association, now has that data in there. So you can pump in that data directly. And I'm going to grab a couple more. Okay, throw that one in there. And let's just pick one more just for good measure. Okay, so I have these 3 properties that I've added in. Okay, I'm going to update my valuation and close. Once I do that, it's going to pump all those comps into the system. And now I can go in and actually make adjustments for comps. Now, a lot of agents at this point ask me, how do I know what I'm using? How do I know that these are the correct adjustments? Guys, this is 16 years of experience. Unless you have somebody around you that has that experience, the way that you're going to learn where these adjustments come from is one, having good discussions with your appraisers. I always try to meet an appraiser out at the property, kind of identify where we can make adjustments. The other side is once again, looking at that appraisal when it comes through on a buyer side and making sure that you know where to make those adjustments. Now, we're not going to go through actual adjustments today. I'm just going to show you that obvious places that you would want to make those adjustments. For instance, this has 1 bath, whereas these have 2. Square footage is a big one, right? So 1,200 square feet as compared to 1,500. That would make a big difference in the numbers. Now, I could narrow these comps down a little bit closer, but I can also make adjustments for those numbers. And obviously, I can make a negative adjustment or I can make a positive adjustment. It depends. Red, obviously negative, blue, positive. Once I make those adjustments, they're going to adjust down here and tell me what percentage I've made that adjustment for. And here's one of the strongest tools that I think a lot of people skip is comp weighting. So up at the top, if I click on this bigger photos, it will give me an idea of what this comparable looks like in comparison to my actual comp property. So I can go through these pictures easily. And if you'll notice at the top, it says which record I'm using. So I can use the older listing record, the newer one, or public. I'm going to use the one that I chose, and I can go through and then give comp weighting to these properties. And like I said, if this one's going to meet a lot better, I can adjust these. It just has to equal up to 100%. So if you'll notice, it's currently even divided, with the first one getting the 1 additional percentage point. So I can auto weigh, I can weight equally, or I can adjust accordingly. So if I was to give this one a 50% weighting, I would need now to adjust my other ones to be 25 and 25. And I could adjust them however I see fit, but you'll notice when I make that adjustment based on the comp, my price changes as well. When I apply it and close, I update my valuation and close it out. Now keep in mind, this is not saying that this house is priced less or priced overpriced where it's at. I didn't do any analysis on this. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes. Now, the next step is to create that report. So when I click on create that report, a couple of things pop up, and this is where it becomes really powerful for you guys. Knowing these reports is key. So there's a property report. This is approximately 28 pages. There's a seller's report, approximately 81 pages, a property flyer for when you're showing a property, mini flyer, 12 pages, valuation workbook, which was the one that I like the most, and this is only unlocked when you do that additional analysis. So you can't get the valuation workbook unless you do that additional analysis. A market activity, and a neighborhood, and then a school. Now, if you click these little plus buttons on the right, they show all the pages of that value. They also can give you a detail of what that page looks like. So you can remove that entire piece of that document out. And then when you save it, you can actually save it for future reference, or you can just save it for this report. You can also show your notes if you've added notes to the property. You can also suppress the value for subject property. So if you don't want to necessarily show your client the subject value at that point, you want to more discuss it or have details about it. You can also go to suppress the value of the comp. So there's a couple different valuations come up. If you'll notice, when you get in here, it will actually tell you which ones you're suppressing. And which ones you're not. And then it also will tell you about the notes as well. So some great tools and resources to provide a lot of value to your client as they're running through this. You can also run this report. Now you can download it in a couple different ways. You can display it now, or you can email it directly to your client from the system, and you can carbon copy yourself. One thing that I would suggest, and you'll even notice that I actually need to edit my profile to adjust some of these dates and times, as well as my picture that's a little old. I've been told that more than once. So I need to make those adjustments in here, so that is all updated as well. So when I customize my report, it's going to pump out the right way. Guys, just a great resource for public data. Now, the MLS provides a lot of tools and a lot of resources. The Realtor Property Resource comes from the National Association of Realtors, but in our local board, we have a very strong leadership that goes after a lot of great tools and resources for our board members. One of those other tools, and as I'm going through this, I want to just show that the Remind functionality brings in a lot of additional public data. So on the basis of the Realtor Property Resource, you can also add in things from Remind that will open up and make your presentation even stronger. So these are great resources, great tools that a lot of us don't necessarily use to the best of our ability. If you put some of these into action, you can have a lot of cool information through valuation and public records to give you the best presentation possible, both in the basis of a listing presentation or in a buyer presentation throughout. Guys, I hope this was useful. I hope it was beneficial. We're sitting at about 14 minutes, so I try to keep these to about 15 minutes. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate. Once again, thank you for your time, guys. Let me pull this off the screen. And once again, guys, if you ever need anything, please don't hesitate. My contact information is below. Please reach out if you want to have a one-on-one meeting about any of these tools or resources that we talk about, any of the things that I try to show you as far as lead generation or CRMs. Guys, I'm here to help. At the end of the day, these are the tools that we put into our listing presentation. Now, obviously, we add a little bit more robust basis because I know that if you guys are going to do the same thing, I need to step out above the rest. And that's what these entire trainings are about, is how do you step out above all the other real estate agents out there in the marketplace. Thank you for your time. Once again, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great day.